Okay, good evening, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Tonight we are going to learn. Last week we concluded the topic of olive oil. I want to just give a quick summary about that because there are some differences. Then we spoke about, I threw out the idea of garlic confit and about how sometimes when the form of something changes, the beracha changes. We're going to learn that tonight. And then we're going to start learning about trees that have multiple edible parts, what the brachot are on different parts, and how a lot of it has to do with the intent when you're planting it. So we have a lot of extremely relevant topics tonight. Let's get started. Before I start with tonight's Gemara, I just want to read off something that I sent to the chat in case anyone missed it about olive oil. Because last week we spoke about olive oil, and the Gemara says that drinking olive oil is harmful by itself. So the opinion of the Gemara says that olive oil is ha'etz, say consuming olive oil is ha'etz, but the Gemara had an issue with that of it's harmful for you. Why would you be having it? So through that discussion, we learned a lot of things. We learned if you're having it by itself, since it's harmful, you don't say a bracha. That's one thing that we learned. Harmful things, you don't say bracha. So then we learned, okay, but maybe you're going to have it with bread. Having oil with bread makes sense. But then you would say the bracha of hamotzi, because we learned the rule that says whenever you have food items that are mixed, you say the bracha on the ikar, on the main item, and the secondary or the primary item gets the bracha of the primary, and everything else you don't say that bracha. You don't say multiple brachot, so you wouldn't say it with bread. So maybe you're pouring it in your drink, your anigron. So the Gemara says, okay, so then you're gonna say the bracha of the drink. You're not gonna say the bracha if you're putting a splash of olive oil in there. So then the Gemara finally says, we're talking about someone whose throat hurts and who wants to go really heavy on the olive oil. And the whole purpose of even having the drink is to consume the olive oil. In that case, they would say the bracha of ha'etz. Okay? So you're saying ha'etz, even though you're having it in a mixture, because that becomes the primary item. I want to read this off to you. The Gemara states that drinking olive oil by itself is harmful, therefore does not require the bracha. That's how Shulchan Aruch rules, that one who drinks olive oil alone does not recite the bracha. If it's mixed in another food, as we just spoke about, it would be ha'etz. The Rambam, this is something I did not discuss in last week's shir that I want to talk about. Remember how some of you guys were saying it's healthy for you, it helps with constipation, it helps with some other things, it helps with memory, it helps with um, many of these things that it helps with. The Rambam takes a different approach. He rules that if a person drinks olive oil by itself, the person says the bracha of shehakol. If the person is enjoying it. If the person is enjoying it, they say shehakol. Rav Kavach explains that since the olive has been transformed into oil, it loses the original status and receives a downgraded beracha. It's amazing. If you have it as part of the soup, as the drink, because you want the olive oil, like that's like that form, you say ha'etz. But if you have it by itself, then it loses some status because it's harmful. So since it's harmful, the Ramam says you're going to say the bracha of shakol if you enjoy it. Shulchan Aruch says no bracha at all. Okay, now later common authorities, including the Ben Ish Chai, note that olive oil is consumed today. Nowadays, we do take shots of olive oil, and it's widely considered beneficial to health. So things are different nowadays. Therefore, they rule that one who drinks olive oil should recite ha'etz. If you want to take a shot of olive oil, you can recite ha'etz. Now, according to Shulchan Aruch, you don't say anything. According to the Rambam, you say shakol, and according to the commentators that are explaining that the Gemara says that the bracha is ha'etz, it's just that it said that it's harmful. But if we understand it not to be harmful anymore, we understand it to be beneficial, then the bracha would be ha'etz. Rav Ovadia Yosef and Ben Zion of Shaul rule like Shulchan Aruch that no bracha is recited at all. Rav Ben Chaim follows the Rambam. If a person drinks olive oil for medicinal purposes, doesn't enjoy it, no bracha. But if he drinks it because he enjoys the taste, the bracha is shehakol. So this is how Rav Ben Chaim gives the guidance of what to do. Again, if you're going to take a shot of olive oil and you're doing it for medicine, you just want to consume it, you don't like the taste, it's a bitter taste, you don't like it, no bracha according to Shulchan Aruch, and that's what Rav Ben Chaim says. But if someone takes a shot every morning because they feel like it's something that they like, then you can say the bracha of shakol. Okay? For the topic of garlic confit, that's stay tuned after we learn the Gemara. Question, yes.
You know those little shots they give in downstairs 130 will be saying like that.
Yes.
Is that enough to say a bracha or is
Oh, excellent question. Okay, Richard's question is for those who are on the Zoom. He says, let's say you have a small little shot glass, a 1 ounce cup, and they fill it up halfway or even less than that with grape juice. Can you say the bracha Bar Geffen on that? So the answer is you can say a bracha before you eat even a crumb. Even if I'm going to take a crumb of your pretzel bag, something that's like packed in there, just one crumb, I can say Borei Minim Mizonot and eat it. That's a different question from the requirements of Kiddush. When someone is fulfilling the mitzvah of Kiddush, which is not a bracha that you recite only before you eat food, but it's actually you're doing something for the mitzvah of Kiddush of Shabbat, then you have to have a cup that has at least 3 ounces. So in order to fulfill Kiddush, you need to have a 3 ounce cup. But to say a bracha beforehand, there is no shiur. There is no minimum amount. There are shiurim, a minimum amount for the post bracha, for the bracha that one says after they consume. They have to have a revi'it. They have to have that 3 ounces. But before even, I had right now a sip of, I don't even know how much this is, like a gram, not a gram, a milliliter. So it's because we are the logic behind having saying bracha before is before you enjoy something, thank Hashem for the bracha. So before you enjoy anything, there's no minimum amount that would require someone before they enjoy. Elliot, shalom aleichem. It's nice to see you in person. Baruch Hashem. Moshe, here we go, gentlemen. You came at a good time. We're going to speak tonight about. Oh, you brought it. You brought the garlic confit. Go home, bring it, please. What are you talking about? I've been waiting all week for some. Okay. So tonight we're going to speak about forms of food items changing and how the brachot change along the way. And just as what we spoke about last week is garlic. Garlic, where does it grow? It grows from the ground. So the bracha would be hadama. What if you cook your garlic? Does that change? What if you grind your garlic? Does that change? Let's say there's certain food items that as you change the form of the brachot change. We're going to start doing that right now with Gemara Masech Berachot Daf Lamed Vav Amud Aleph 36A, starting with Kimcha Dechite. If you're looking in the R-Scroll books, it's 36A, either one or two. Somebody tell me. Kimcha de Sa'areh. 36A2, says Andrew. Kimcha de Sa'areh. Has anyone here ever eaten wheat flour? And I don't mean a food item that was baked out of wheat flour. I mean, did you ever go to a pack of wheat flour and like a pack of chips, just like start munching on it? I really need some props. Garlic, here's what I need. I need a 5 pound pack of flour. I need you have 36A1. I thought you were saying I got one. Okay, yeah, I'll take one. A 1 pack of flour. I need some hearts of palms. I need some garlic confit, and I need some caper berries or capers, if anyone has any. If no one has any of these, we're going to use our imagination. Really, I should have brought these props. But let's go. Kimcha dechite. Someone ate wheat flour. Why? No idea. So honestly, probably something was wrong with him. He was probably like starving, got some munchies in the middle of the night, went to the fridge or went to the pantry, thought he was taking out a pack of flour. So what happened? The blessing on wheat flour. Look at, because this is machloket. Look at footnote number 7. According to Rashi, the Riv and Rav Hai Gaon, the Gemara is discussing regular wheat flour. Wheat flour. You know what you use to bake bread or bake cookies? Wheat flour. Tosfot and the Rosh, however, maintain that since regular wheat flour is barely edible, all would agree that sha'akol is recited on it, since it is certainly not in the usable state for which it was originally planted. Rather, they assert the Gemara is referring either to coarse or toasted flour, which is more edible. This footnote is already assuming you know a lot of information. Let's just keep this simple. Wheat flour. Before we talk about this, we have to know a rule of what the Gemara says about wheat. What is the beracha on wheat? Mezonot is the incorrect answer what I was, what's it called? Baiting you to say. That's exactly correct. Good. What? What? Hamotzi is another incorrect answer. Let's see how many.
Adama.
Adama. Okay, very good. So it's amazing because wheat, the cycle of wheat, it can be mezonot, it could be ha'adama, it could be ha'motzi, it could be shehakol. It could literally be anything except for hagefen and I guess ha'etz. Right? Is there anything else? It can't be ha'etz, it can't be hagefen, but it could have wheat can have four brachot. Yeah, this is a good trivia. What food item can by itself have four different brachot? So tonight we're gonna see it. Kimcha dechite, someone eats wheat flour. Rav Yehuda Amar, Boreh Peri Adama. Rav Yehuda says you should say Boreh Peri Adama. Sorry, I was in the middle of saying. If I take a kernel of wheat off of the ground and I chew it, a kernel of wheat without grinding it, that's called koses chita. Chewing on a kernel of wheat, that is ha'adama. It grows out of the ground. Boreh Peri ha'adama. That's it. This is Boreh Peri Adama. If I turn it into a flour and bake an item with it, then it's boreh mineh mizonot. Or if I bake bread out of it, it's hamotzi lachem min haaretz. So wheat, if it's turned into flour and then baked, is hamotzi or mizonot. If it's eaten off of the ground raw or popped or something, rolled, it's out of the ground, take the kernel of wheat without grinding it, it's ha'adama. What happens if I grind it? That's our question here. So Rabbi Huda says, Boreh Peri Adama. It's going to be the same as before you ground it. It doesn't change. If you take it out of the ground, it's Adama. If I grind it, it's also Adama. Look at footnote number 8. Just as one would recite before eating raw wheat kernels, whose blessing is Adama, as taught in the Braita in the next daf, the fact that the kernels have now been ground does not change their status with regard to the blessing. Rav Yehuda assuming you already know that the wheat kernel by itself is ha'adama, he says, so you grind it. So what do? You ground it. It's still ha'adama. It only becomes mizonot once you bake it. You didn't bake it yet, it's still ha'adama. Rav Nachman amar she'akol niya bidvaro. Rav Nachman says, no. Its status changed from ha'adama to she'akol because you ruined it. People will eat a kernel of wheat, but they won't eat flour. It's not food anymore. It's not food in any form. Meaning, either people have it at stage 1 when it's a kernel, or they have it at stage 3 when it's a baked item. No one has it in the middle. So since this is not what it was planted for, it was planted for either eating it as a kernel or eating it as a baked item, but this was not what it was planted for. So the bracha shakol. That's the opinion of Rav Nachman. Let's see footnote number 9. Rav Nachman holds that since the flour has been ground and thus changed from its original state, it is no longer classified as the fruit of the ground. This is not the boreh pri adam. That's not the fruit of the ground. You've ground it. You've ground the fruit of the ground, thereby removing it from the status of fruit of the ground. And that specific blessing is no longer appropriate. Therefore, the general shahakol should be recited. This is machloket. Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman. Okay? We got the big picture here. Wheat kernel is what bracha? Adama, everyone agrees. You grind it. What's the bracha on eating the flour without baking it? It's machloket. Rav Yehuda says ha'adama. Rav Nachman says shakol. How do you know who says what? Because Rav Yehuda rhymes with ha'adama. Okay, it's going to work for us in this case. It's not going to work with anything else. But right here, right now, that's all that matters. Rav Yehuda Adama. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Rav Yehuda Adama. Rav Nachman shakol. Fine. Amalei Rava Rav Nachman. So now Rava goes to Rav Nachman, who says shakol. Rava is coming from the crowd. He's going to start shouting in as they're having their match from the first row. He's going to say, Lo tiflog alei Rav Nachman. Don't argue with Rav Nachman on this one. You're losing. You're going to lose this one. Rav Yehuda says Adama. Rav Nachman says Shakol. Rava says to Rav Nachman, don't argue with him. Don't argue with him. Why? Rabbi Yochanan, Shmuel, Kayame, Kavate, because Rabbi Yehuda, who says Adama, has Rabbi Yochanan on his side, and he has Shmuel on his side. Multiple rabbis on his side. You don't want to enter this fight. How do I know? Damar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, because Rav Yehuda quotes. Sorry, Damar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, because Rav Yehuda quotes Shmuel. It's interesting. Rav Yehuda is quoting Shmuel as his rabbi. So Rav Yehuda is. It's like what he's saying. He's saying in the name of his rabbi. It's pretty authoritative. Similarly, Rabbi Yitzchak says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Shemen Zait Mevarachin Alav Bore Peri Ha'etz. What's the bracha on olive oil? What did we say in the Gemara? What's the bracha on olive oil? Bore Peri Ha'etz. And the Gemara wants to know, well, how are you consuming it? We said you're consuming it in the anigron for someone that has a sore throat. And that is the primary item. What's the bracha on olive oil? It's Bore Peri Ha'etz. So he says, okay, let's see the parallel. Olive Ha'etz. Olive oil, still Ha'etz. Wheat kernel, Adama. Wheat flour, still Adama. Boom! That's your proof for our Rav Yehuda. That's what he wants to say. Alma afagav ishtane. So it seems that even though the form has changed, it keeps its first bracha. Hachanami, so to here. Afagav ishtane, even though that its status changed. So you, Rav Nachman, are saying it's shakol because its form has changed. Hold on a second. We know that Shmuel and Rav Yehuda Rabbi Yochanan tell us that when the form of olive changes to olive oil, you say the same bracha. So if the form of a wheat kernel changes forms, it should still be hadama. So why are you, Rav Nachman, saying shakol? Midami. He says, what kind of a comparison is this? You're comparing olive oil to wheat flour? Hatam leitle iluya acharina. When it comes to olive oil, that's the final status. You can't take that and do something else with it. So you have an olive, you could eat an olive. You can make olive oil, and then you have olive oil. But olive oil is not a transitory status, right? Is olive oil a step before something else? No, it's the final destination. So he's saying, you're right. Final destination gets a nice beracha. The olive gets a ha'etz, final destination of olive oil gets a ha'etz. But here, this flour, wheat, fine, zadama. It goes into flour. This is not going to have a nice bracha of saying ha'adama. This is going to have a bracha of something that is a transitory step. What comes up afterwards is bread. Amazing. So we're learning principles here. What Rav Nachman is saying, something that's very important, is that if the status changes, but that status that it changed to is not something that this was ever planted with in mind, then that is going to have a diminished bracha of shakol. Okay? You have wheat, it's pri ha'adama. It comes out of the ground, it's pri ha'adama. You could eat it, you say pri ha'adama. But why did they plant this wheat? For the bread. So if you then grind it and you haven't finished your process yet, you're going to say shakol because you haven't reached a final status yet. But if you have an olive and you squeeze it and you get olive oil, you've reached the final status. So you're going to say Barei Priya it's on that. Confusing, no? Machloket between Rav Yehuda and Rav Nachman. What's the bracha on wheat flour? Rav Yehuda says Adama. It rhymes. Okay, what's his defense? His defense is if when it's a wheat kernel, it's Adama, grinding it doesn't do anything worse. Rav Nachman says no, it's shakol. Why? Because it's diminishing it by grinding it. Changing the form ruins my beracha. So how come olive oil has the same beracha as olives? Because olive oil is the final status. There's nothing else to go to afterwards. Whereas flour has something else to go to afterwards. So the flour state is not going to get a same bracha as the previous level. It's going to have like this temporary state bracha of shakol. Yeah.
I mean, that's just like personal opinion. But if I like water juice better than the merchants, that's
Boom. Don't. Okay, I'm gonna take orange juice off of the table. Okay, actually, orange juice is a very relevant question. We're going to see this question in another form, in the context of hearts of palm. So wait, because your exact question of isn't this subjective? Like, what if I like eating flour, and I plant a bunch of wheat so that I could eat flour. Like that's what I want to do. Now, we did address this question last week. Do you remember there was somewhere where we had this question? But la dato etzel kol adam. We did speak about, we were asking, why does wine get a special bracha like bread does? And we said, okay, they both do certain things. This one makes you happy and it also satiates you. We said, if it satiates you, why don't you say berachot hamazon when you eat it afterwards? No one has wine as a meal. And the Gemara says, well, what if someone does? And it says, let's wait for Eliyahu and Avi. Until then, we don't deal with crazy people. But la dato etzel kol adam. Sometimes we say you're crazy, so we're not going to change the halachot. So the truth is, if your question is, what if I want to do this? The answer is going to be halachot are not going to change. But my question is, what happens if we, as an industry, change? What if things change for like what you find in the supermarket? What happens if you will have largest the largest big cap companies of the country planting a bunch of orchard trees, not for oranges, but for orange juice? Like what happens then? We're not talking about like, oh, this guy is crazy. We're talking about Tropicana is not crazy, but they are not. No one is eating their oranges. Everyone's drinking their oranges. So that's like going to be a good question. Let's see where we get to tonight. Okay.
Question, Rav.
Oh, the screen is frozen. Is this flickering again?
Yeah.
They told me they fixed it. Yeah, go ahead, Itai Jun. Go ahead.
So Rabbi Chaim said
Yeah, go ahead.
that let's say you take a shot of olive oil, you don't make a bracha if you don't enjoy it. So let's say you take a shot glass of wheat flour and you don't enjoy wheat flour. Here it's saying you would say shakol or hadama. So would Rabbi Chaim hold that you don't say any bracha?
So yeah, so the question. So we're not done with the topic, and the Gemara is going to address this question of whether you should just not say any bracha at all. And the Gemara is going to say like, no, we do need to say a bracha. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about this question right now. Okay, stay tuned, Itai. We're almost there. I'm just a little bit distracted by the little kids. Hey guys, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Yeah. It's too late. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock. Go to sleep. Tell your brother to go to sleep also. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Yeah.
So this is the last 2 weeks on the recording. I couldn't come to the class, and I remember you saying something about what's the circumstance where you would altogether skip a bracha?
Okay.
It's not edible. Is that
When we spoke about water, it's going to come up. We didn't discuss it like proper, but there is a Mishnah that says if someone drinks water in order because they're thirsty, they say shakol. So what we said is if you're going to drink water not for thirst, then you don't need to make a bracha. Or sometimes you're eating something.
be applied to? Didn't eat the bread, ate the flour that was on top of it because I couldn't wait to say that what's
No, so there you want to consume that, you want to enjoy it because you're hungry, you want it. So then you're going to say bracha. And I think that's a little bit related to Itai's question of like, is there ever a time where I wouldn't make a bracha at all? So like, let's let the Gemara. We're not done with the wheat topic. Let's conclude the wheat topic and try to get these principles out of it. By the way, these subjects are so like not common. Eating wheat. What are you talking about eating wheat? But the thing is that when you learn, and this you have to be aware of this with all of halachot, of all of Gemarot. Often the examples brought in the Gemara, those examples themselves never come up. But those examples will teach you critical principles of brachot. And that's why this wheat flour is something that's very important because it's something that has a status before and a status after. So it's like very important. It's something that starts off as a wheat kernel, has one bracha, then is ground into a state number 2 of flour, but it's not the final state. Then there's another state. So while we're learning about wheat flour, it's not only about wheat flour, it's about learning the principles and fundamentals of brachot. Okay, let's go. Here we go. So now the Gemara is going to say, all right, Rav Nachman is trying to defend himself. Rav Nachman is trying to say that the bracha on wheat flour is, Rav Nachman, she'akol. Okay? Now, how does he defend himself when you throw olive oil at him? Because olive oil changed and it's not shakol. He says, well, olive oil, there is nothing else after that stage. So then you're going to get a nice bracha bor pri'ayetz. Wheat flour has something else after that stage. So now we're going to challenge that, like, hold on a second. You're telling me that if something doesn't have something else afterwards, that affects its brachot? We're going to challenge that. In a situation when there is another improvement, there is another stage. Lo mevarachin ale bore pri adama ela shakol. So in that temporary middle stage, you could only say shakol, you can't say adama. I'm going to find you another food item that's in the middle stage, and I still say adama. V'amar Bizera, Amar Rav Matna, Amar Shmuel. Shmuel tells us, akara chaya, raw pumpkin. Okay, raw pumpkin or raw gourd, raw squash. Okay, or kimcha de sa'areh, barley flour, and this is why we're very interested in this. Mevarachin alayu shakol niyeh bidvaro. The bracha on raw pumpkin and barley flour is shakol. So now he's going to say there's a very, very big difference between wheat flour and barley flour, or wheat and barley. What's the difference between wheat and barley? Is a different grain, and in terms of its consumption, wheat is very common, barley is not so common. You don't know many people that are going to have barley bread. Spelt nowadays, yeah. But no one is buying barley bread. It's not something that we do. What do you do with barley? You put it in chulent. That's it. Mushroom barley soup. This is really the only functions of barley. And animal food. Animals, they feed, it's more of animal food to give seorim. I'm not saying you can't eat it, but what I'm saying is that it's not common. So now, Shmuel wants to teach us that barley flour is shakol. Why are you going to pick the uncommon food? So, my love, the fact that Shmuel calls out this uncommon food that no one eats and says the flour of the barley is going to be shakol, it sounds like, oh, but the flour of wheat is hadama. That's the implication, right? The Gemara says, no, that's not what it is. So, I'm going to tell you that really both are going to be shakol. Both barley flour, says Shmuel, and wheat flour. So then how come he calls out specifically barley flour? Let him say that wheat flour is shakol. Then of course barley flour would be shakol. The Gemara says, because had he said, and Itai, this is going to address your point, had he said that wheat flour is shakol, I would have thought that's because wheat is something that we eat. I would have thought don't make any bracha on it at all. I would have thought that barley flour, which is really not edible, don't make any bracha on it at all. Kamash malan, it comes to teach us that even that requires a bracha. So here you go. Your middle transitory step of barley flour and wheat flour for sure require a bracha, and the bracha is shakol. The Gemara says, hold on. Why would I have ever thought that I don't need to make a bracha on it? Umi garami melach mezamit. Is that any less than a food than salt or brine, which require a blessing? Ditnan, as the Braita says, ala melach ala zamit omer shakol niyavidvaro. What bracha do you say on brine? You know what brine is? You ever open a can of pickles and then afterwards you just pour it all out? Your friend takes that can and says, no, don't pour it out. Let me drink some. And drinks the brine straight up that you're throwing down the sink. He wants it. It's something that you use for pickling. You don't drink that. That's like something you use to pickle other items. What is it? Look at it, good for cramps. Unbelievable. Everything is good for something. Yeah, so you have this brine because it has all of these electrolytes, all of these salts and all of the stuff. You drink it? You say a bracha on it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, here we go. On salt and brine, omer shakol niyam bidvaro. You have your source. You don't need to say it on your Powerade or your Gatorade or your electrolytes. You could do it on your pickle juice. You say shakol niyam bidvaro. So the Gemara is going to say, look, this is disgusting. No one drinks this. No one actually takes the thing and drinks this as an enjoyable item. But you still have to say a beracha. Going back to Itai's question, even if no one really enjoys it, it's food. It's a form of food. You have to say a beracha. So why would I think that I wouldn't say a beracha on wheat? Here's why. It's the rich. I still might have thought that I would not need to make a bracha on on barley flour. Saga daitachamin, I would have thought melach v'zamit avid inish deshadim lefumeh. It's possible that someone will eat salt or someone will drink brine. Here, Cody says he drinks it. It helps with something. There are times where you drink it. Salt, I've seen people who are like feeling faint. They take some peak Himalayan salt, they go, and I don't know, it wakes them up. So okay, it happens. People will do it. People will have it. Aval kimcha desareh. But barley flour, you know what the problem is? Ho'il v'kashel lekukiyani. It's very bad because it has kukiyani. What is kukiani? The way Rashi explains is worms go into your belly. It's in our common language. You have a stomach bug. You get a stomach ache. If you were to have wheat barley, you're gonna have bugs in your belly. In other words, you're gonna have some sort of a belly ache. You're gonna have these intestinal worms. Lo lebracha le'akla. So I would have thought, don't say bracha at all. Kamash Malan comes to teach us. Even though it's hurting you, since there is a benefit from it, you still need to make a beracha. So here, Itai, this is to you, and Joey, your point. The exclusion of you don't need to make a beracha if you're not enjoying it, that's very rare. That's like with water that has no flavor and there's no enjoyment, and you're like trying to take down a pill. But even if it's something that's damaging to you, if you eat wheat barley, you're going to get a stomach ache. But some people like it. It's food. You have to say bracha. It's just that the bracha that it gets is not a specific bracha because it's like this temporary, transitory food. You're going to say the bracha of shakol ni'abitvaro. Okay, so what you learn from here is that when you have a food that is not in the status in which it was ever meant to be, you say bracha of shakol on it. Got it? This is what led me last week to quote to you what Roy Mansour said about garlic. Garlic is something that grows from the ground, but it's not typically cooked. So in the times of the Talmud, according to Shulchan Aruch, so when you have it from the ground raw, you say Adama, but once you cook it, you're changing the form. You're not elevating its form. You're actually downgrading its form, so it gets the Beracha Shakol Ni'am Dvaro. Nowadays, this is what's amazing about Halachot Berachot. The whole world doesn't eat raw. No one eats raw garlic. They don't eat raw garlic. Just take a garlic clove and pop it. You'll have some people. And the whole world will eat cooked garlic. And this was something that we spoke about last week. You guys said, like, what are you talking about? People have cooked garlic all the time. You take a garlic, you cook it, and you take it, and it tastes very good. It's called like this garlic confit. One time I went to a steakhouse with my wife, and I wanted to get steak. And I got a steak, and this was, I forgot what it was, but the guy said, this is something different, something new, get this one. Like, all right, we're here, we'll enjoy it. He gave me a nice piece of steak, and it came out with an entire garlic head on top of the steak. Okay, I don't know if this is something that's common, but I, when in Rome. So he said, and then I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? He said, you with your fork, pull out the garlic, and you're just gonna smear it on the steak like butter. And I'm like, first of all, I would never smear my steak with butter, so I don't know what kind. I don't explain that to me, but okay, fine. But I'm like, okay, fine. And so I took it. I take it. It becomes like a schmear. It's almost like you're putting cream cheese or butter right on top of your steak. And it was like this, like this expensive thing and like this whole nice thing. So if someone were to have this, now the thing is, do you ever just eat it by itself? Do you just scoop it and eat it by itself? You can, but you're gonna put it on bread, no? You're gonna put it on bread. You're not gonna eat it by itself. So, but the point is that it is edible. It is edible. So this is where, and I think I quoted this to you from last week. Right, Moshe Aziz is in the process of, or he had a shiur on halachot berachot, and whenever they would have like unsure questions that they weren't sure about, he would check with Rav Ben Chaim. So it gives us the advantage. Here we go. Let me just read to you about garlic. Shulchan Aruch says that it's normal to eat garlic raw, and then the bracha is going to be ha'adama. But if it's cooked, the bracha becomes shakol because it's not normal. But the Mishnah Berurah explains that it is likely not referring to the garlic that we eat today. It appears to be referring to spring garlic or baby garlic, which is harvested in the early stages while it's mild, sweet, and only about 1/4 of the strength of a mature garlic. When left in the ground longer, the bulb fully develops into garlic, which we are familiar with. The Mishnah Berurah further notes that nowadays people do not eat mature garlic raw on its own. Therefore, if eaten raw, the beracha would be shakol. You take the halacha and you flip it on its head, whereas if it were to be cooked in a way that makes it fit to be eaten, the beracha becomes ha'adama. Amazing. The Talmud says this is the law that garlic ha'adama, cooked garlic shakol. But nowadays it's the exact opposite. So raw garlic is shakol, cooked garlic is adama. The Kaf HaChaim takes a stronger approach that writes that no bracha at all should be recited if you're eating garlic, since it's too sharp. Rav Ben Chaim agrees. Accordingly to this view, only cooked or pickled garlic receive a bracha v'adama, meaning where Rav Ben Chaim agrees with the Kaf HaChaim that says, if you take a garlic, because your doctor says that this is going to do something for your something, and it's going to bring down your something or bring up your something, and your doctor says it's a vitamin, it's not even food, it's a supplement. You're taking garlic, this is not food. The Kaf HaChaim says people don't eat this. Don't even say a bracha. And Rabbi Chaim agrees. It's too sharp. Okay? So what are you supposed to do? I don't know. I really don't know. I think when you learn halachot berachot, which is what we're doing, sometimes at the end it's going to be like, look, every answer was given. Right now what we're saying is that a lot of it has to do with how things are done in the world. Kimcha dechite, kimcha desare is this discussion about what are you supposed to do with wheat. I want to see what Shulchan Aruch says about the wheat, so that we can learn this concept. Okay, and then we're going to move on to hearts of palm. While I pull up the Shulchan Aruch, does anyone have any questions? I think somebody has a question, no?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what's the bracha on sprouts?
What's a sprout?
Oh, like you can take a lentil and soak it.
Grass, right? Basically grass.
It could be, yeah. It could be, you can take a lentil, soak it, and then like drain it, and then it'll grow a thing out of it, and you can eat it. And it'll probably eat it before cooking.
Did you go to Smichat Chaver also or no? No, okay, so you didn't go. I don't, the truth is I don't know the answer. I don't know. But it's something that we could find out. It happens to be, I don't even know what you're talking about. So like I definitely can't answer you, but I think what it sounds like it would be Hadama, but I'm not exactly sure. Maybe if you could like send a picture of it or send some article on it, we can do some research. But yeah, when we're learning halachot brachot, you have to be okay with me saying I have no idea, because that's the default answer. But yeah, but we could look into it. Last week I said some things about garlic and about olive oil. And then I did some research and I got different answers. I'm learning. When it comes to halachot berachot, I'm doing my best, but there's just so much. There's so much. Today, as I was preparing for this, I was not expecting anyone would ask me about sprouts. I don't even know what that is. So, but yeah. Please send me a message and we'll look into it. Yes, question. We spoke about that in the Mishnah, but according to Chachamim, anything that grows from the ground is a Pri Ha'adama. All things that grow from the ground are a Pri Ha'adama, including seeds, including herbage. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda would say, no, you should say Borei Minei D'Shaim on cabbage. You should say Borei Minei Zeraim on seeds. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, but we don't hold that way. We're going according to the Chachamim that say everything that comes out of the ground is a fruit of the ground. Pri Ha'adama. Yeah, good.
Beer is derived from the farmer.
Correct.
Beer.
This is not how this is going to work. Beer is its own thing. Okay. Boom. Richard asked about beer. Okay, listen. I think I was in 3rd grade. There's something in yeshiva schools that they do. They call them bracha bees. You heard about it? Where they give out lists of like all of the food items and all of the bracha that you're supposed to say, and then they tell the kids to go memorize it. Then they have a competition, and then they ask a food, and then you'll have the thing. And 3rd grade, I got out on the rabbi saying beer made out of barley. And I said mizonot. And I lost. So you just brought up something very sore topic right now. Something that's like, but yeah, The answer is going to be shakol. It's going to be shakol. This is something that we'll speak about. I'm pretty sure we're going to get into it. I think so. The topic is because the way you make it, you made it out of beer. In other words, it's chametz. It's absolutely chametz because it's made out of barley. It's shechar. It's going to be chametz. But the beracha, because its form has changed and there is water added, there's a lot of water added, so it becomes shakol. Good question, but not related. Okay, here we go. Let's just see what Shulchan Aruch says in Siman Resh Chet. Kemach, afilu shel chitim, even if it's from wheat, mevarech alav shehakol. Whose opinion was this? Rav Nachman, you got it. Did you think what I said? Rav Yehuda Adama or no? No, you just knew it. Okay, fine. You don't need it. Rav Yehuda says Adama, Rav Nachman says Shako, Rav Nachman Rav Nachman. Ve'acharav borei nefashot. Lo shna nitchan dak dak, lo shna nitchan ksat. It doesn't matter how fine it's been ground. Ve'adayin yesh bo tam shel chitim, lo shna kemach shel kuliyot. It doesn't matter. It's all Adama, it's all Shakol, and that's how we're going to hold. So why this is so critical is because, like I said, and this is something that many young students who are learning Gemara for the first time, they will see a case of the Gemara and they're going to say, what is this Gemara is talking about? Some crazy case. We just spent the past hour talking about someone who eats wheat flour. It's like, does this really deserve 45 minutes of our time to talk about someone who eats wheat flour? The answer is yes, because when you are able to isolate extreme cases, this is what would happen in math. When I was I was a math major, and whenever you're doing math problems and you're learning something new, you always test it. Okay, what happens if x equals 0? What happens to the solution? What happens if x equals infinity? And then you sort of say, okay, let me check this end, let me check that end, and now I understand sort of the pattern of how things are going to work. Checking the extremes is always a good way to sort of test the theory. So if I want to learn the principles of saying a bracha, let's think about something that has multiple stages and isolate what the bracha is in each stage. And now you just learned some principles of halachot. So that's why wheat flour matters so much. Okay? So if you have a food item, comes out of the ground, edible, ha'adama. Change its form into a way that it's not so edible, she'akol. And then if it's later elevated to another stage of food through a process of cooking and baking, then it could either go back to its original bracha or even take on a new bracha if it's flour, if it's one of the grains. That's why this is the source for a garlic. Okay, let's keep going. Now we're going to talk about all right, I hope you guys are on the Zoom can hear me. You know what? Let me just do a nice share. Sometimes you could share the screen so you could hear the sound. Share settings. I want you to hear what I don't know if you're going to hear me or not, but you know what? It doesn't really matter so much. Here, share sound. Boom. Share sound. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's cutting down the actual branch of it. Oh, what is that? This is called
My name is
palm.
Rick, and we're at Puna Gardens in Hawaii, where we grow fresh hearts of palm. Heart of palm is the growing tip of the palm tree. Normally it comes to like Costa Rica, and it's little tiny pieces of just the very tip, and they don't grow it up to any size. I like to grow it up to a 3 or 4 pound heart, so you actually have some meat there. Here we is average, 75 degrees all the time. Beautiful. Trees love it.
You're literally cutting down the tree. Hearts of palm is not a fruit. Hearts of palm is not a fruit. You're cutting the branch of a tree. On the inside, there's this soft part. And that's
Kind of a sweet and crunchy flavor. They go good with anything. Fresh hearts only last a couple of weeks. Canned hearts pickled. They've been cooked and processed and put in the cans, so they'll last on the shelf for a long time. You gotta eat them or pickle them.
Eat them or pickle them.
We started in 2005 with 8.
Okay, Mazel tov. I'm happy for you. All right. All right. So you guys see what hearts of palm are. Hearts of palm are not the fruit. So now let me ask you, what's the bracha on hearts of palm? Okay, Bore Peri Ha'etz, which would mean God creates the fruits of a tree. Okay, what did you say? I'm not. Yeah. Okay. So that's the other option of Borei Pri Adama. What is it? It is the tree. So Joey, the issue with saying Borei Pri Ha'etz, the fruit of the tree, is that this is not a fruit of a tree. This is the tree. So this is the tree itself. So if this is the tree itself, so what should you say? Borei Pri Adama, the fruit of the ground. Or there's another option. She'akol niya b'dvaro, where neither. But why would I say that? You're not sure? No. It's not as an original form. Okay. Well, what's the original form? A bark of a tree. You're never going to eat it as a. Oh, because this is not why it was planted. All right. Now we're going to talk about how industrialized worlds are very different. This guy is living the life in Hawaii. You heard that? He's in Costa Rica, Hawaii. All right. The way it used to be is you would have a palm tree on which you grow dates. The reason you plant a palm tree is for the dates. You know what happens when you eat the heart of palm? You just killed your palm tree. You've literally taken your tree that is producing dates for you and you've cut it down. You know what's going to happen next year? You're not going to have any more dates. No one eats the hearts of palm because it's destroying. You know what it's like? It's like I got a cow and I'm going to milk this cow and I want to have this cow producing milk for me for the next 20 years. It's my milk producing cow. And then you say, but I want to eat some meat. So you do shechita and eat it. You know what you just did? You killed your milk producing cow. That's not what you're supposed to do with your milk producing cow. So that's what happens when you have a tree, a palm tree, and you cut it and you eat the heart of the palm. You just destroyed your tree. That's very important. Now, I'm giving you a foreshadowing. Okay, but what happens nowadays when things are different? Okay, so you need to put yourself back into the context of the Gemara right now. They didn't have this world of this guy gets to move to Hawaii to grow hearts of palm for a living. They would have palm trees in which they would grow dates. And someone says, all of a sudden, I cut off a branch once, I cut off the top for whatever reason, and I ate the inside. What bracha is it supposed to be? Let's go. Gemara, Mesechet, Berachot. We're going to learn about hearts of palm. Exciting Gemara. I feel like the art scroll says, like, this is not hearts of palm. Like, yeah, but we're going to say it is. Hold on. Here we go. Korah. Hey, no one cares. Let's go. Where is it? Here we go. Korah. Another Amoraic dispute on the bracha of a food item, and we're going to talk about it, is the bracha of Korah. What is Korah? Our scroll translated as palm shoots. Let's look at footnote 18. I don't know what they say, but we're saying hearts of palm. Number 18, as the branches of a palm tree grow each year, the new growth is soft and edible. By the following year, it hardens into a wood. Okay, so Rashi is not saying it's hearts of palm. Rashi is saying that each year, as the palm tree grows, the outer layer is soft, and then over the year it hardens, and then it grows another soft layer, and then it hardens. So Rashi is saying that outer softer layer, but it's the same concept. You don't want to eat that, because if you're eating that, you're like eating away at the tree. You're killing the tree. It's the bark of the tree. Same concept. Other Rishonim, as it says in the brackets. Other Rishonim, however, explain that Korah refers to palm hearts, white pith that grows at the top of the trees and hardens during the winter. Okay, it's what I showed you in the video. That's why the guy said in Hawaii it's 75 degrees all year round. That's the perfect climate, because otherwise it's going to harden. It's eventually going to harden, is what the footnote quotes here. Very important. What's the bracha on hearts of palm of Korah? Rav Yehuda Amar Borei Pri Adama. Okay, how are you going to remember who says what? Rav Yehuda Adama. Oh, 2 for 2. We're going to go with it. Ushmuel Amar She'akol niya b'dvaro. The one arguing with Rav Yehuda here is not Rav Nachman like last time. By Kimcha Desareh is Rav Nachman. By Korah, it's Shmuel. Amar She'akol niya b'dvaro. He says the bracha is She'akol. Rav Yehuda Amar Borei Pri Adama. Rav Yehuda says Borei Pri Adama Perahu. It's a fruit. Like, it is a fruit. It's just that it's not Borei Pri Ha'etz. Yeah, Joy. So you see, no one says Borei Pri Ha'etz, because it's not a fruit that's growing out of a tree. But he's saying it's a fruit, and it's a fruit of the ground. It's Borei Pri Adama. Ushmuel Amar She'akol niya b'dvaro. Why? Ho'il v'sofo lahakshot. Because eventually it's going to become hard and going to become a bark and going to become inedible. What's unique about the hearts of palm is that if you didn't get involved, eventually that will harden. It'll become the bark of the tree, or it'll become the outer layer, as Rashi says. Or like as they said, in the winter it becomes hard. So an orange is never going to become part of the tree. It's going to fall off and die. But this is going to become tree, so it's not really a fruit. It's you're catching the tree in a soft state. But it's not a fruit. So don't say Borei Pri Adama. It's not a peri. It's Shakol Niabidvaro. That's the machloket between Rav Yehuda Adama and Shmuel Shakol. Oh, that one's easy. Rav Yehuda Adama, Shmuel Shakol. You got that alliteration there. Now, you remember from the last situation where Rav Yehuda quoted a statement in the name of Shmuel? Remember? When did he say that? When we wanted to say what is the bracha on olive oil, Rav Yehuda quotes Shmuel saying it's Borei Pri Ha'etz. Rav Yehuda was a student of Shmuel. Shmuel is the rabbi. So we have a machloket between student and rabbi. Rav Yehuda Adama, Shmuel, the rabbi says Shakol. Listen to this. Amar le Shmuel Rav Yehuda. So Shmuel says to his student, Rav Yehuda, whoa, what's he going to say? Shinena, you're very sharp. You're very smart. Kivatach mistabre. What you're saying seems more reasonable. Wow, you hear that? The rabbi turns to his student and says, I actually think you're right. You're so sharp, you're getting at this answer. Why? Because I'm going to find a comparable case. Why does Shmuel say it's shakol? Because it's going to become hard. Let me find another food item that's going to become hard, and yet the bracha we know is ha'adama. Then you learn that just because it becomes hard doesn't mean you don't say ha'adama. What is that? Ha-tsenon, radish. So for lahakshot, eventually will harden if it's left in the ground to full maturity. If you have a radish, it's already pretty hard. I guess there are certain radishes that are softer than others, but it's pretty hard. If you leave it in the ground for long enough, it's a root. It's not going to be a fruit, and it's not going to be something that's edible. It's going to become inedible by becoming rock hard. It's a bulb, right? I think that's what they call it. It's a bulb. So because of that, it's something that's going to eventually harden. Yet the bracha is Borei Pri Adama. So Shmuel says, I said that hearts of palm should be shakol because they're eventually going to harden. Yet radish, which eventually is going to harden, is hadama. So my logic doesn't work. So Shmuel tells Rav Yehuda, even though I said shakol, your answer of saying hadama is correct. Velohi, and the Gemara interjects and says, you're too humble, Rabbi. You're too humble. You're incorrect to say you're incorrect. You were correct. Your student was incorrect. Velohi, that is not correct. That hearts of palm is a good comparison with radish. Tsenon, nate inshe adata defugla. Here we go. Once again, the same concept. When it comes to radishes, people plant it with the intent of eating the soft radish. So since the intention is to eat the radish is going to be adama, because that was the intent with which it was planted. Dikla lo nate inshe adata dekora. But people do not plant palm trees with the intention of eating the hearts of palm. Because if you do, you're going to destroy it. So since no one is planting a palm tree with the intention of it becoming, of you eating the heart of palm, that's why it has to be shakol. Amazing. Okay? I want someone to tell me the machloket. Tell me the reasoning. Okay, step one, machloket. Two rabbis, two opinions. Tell me the reasoning behind each opinion. Tell me why one of them gave in to the other one, and why the Gemara says, hold your horses, you don't need to give in. Actually, the law is like you. Okay? 4 stages. Who wants to be a brave soul? You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. If the Knicks can be within 4 points when everyone is against them, and including the refs and the commish, you can get the 4 steps of the Gemara. Go ahead. Who wants to do it? Go ahead, Moshe. Go. What are we talking about? Hearts of palm. Okay, good.
Said it's hard because it's hard.
Then Shmuel said agree with him because it's like the radish, and the student said no because it's used because of the intent.
Okay, very good. The intent. Very good. You got it, Moshe. Those are the 4 steps. Hearts of palm, Rav Yehuda, Ha'adama, because it's a fruit, it's edible. Shmuel, Shakol, because eventually it's going to harden and it's not going to be edible anymore. But then Shmuel says, oh, but radishes eventually become inedible, and that's Adama, so maybe I'm wrong. And Gemara says, no, but the difference is when you plant a radish, you do it to eat it in that stage. So then the Beracha of the radish is Adama. When you plant a palm tree, you don't want it to be, you don't want to eat the palm, the hearts of palm. Therefore, the hearts of palm, if you're eating it, you're doing something weird. So it's Sha'akol. Okay? Let me just see how far we can go. Yeah, we have to do this. We have to do this. Hearts of palm. Just keep that in your mind. Our Gemara is saying the Beracha is Sha'akol. Okay? The Gemara is telling us because when you plant a palm tree, you do not have in mind to eat the hearts of palm. Okay? Foreshadowing. Nowadays things are different. But stay tuned. Don't assume it's different. Okay? But now in order to understand this fully, we want to understand the caper bush. Let's explain the caper bush, and then we're going to conclude the topic. Question?
No, it's not like we're, it's either you plant it, it's a palm, or you plant it.
Why is there no workaround?
Yeah, once it's palm, you kill the trunk.
Exactly. You see the issue here. To get the hearts of palm, you're cutting down the tree. So like you know what you can do? You can wait, take the dates once and then cut it, but then you can never have dates with them again. Okay? You know what? Let me just go ahead and share with you. Correct. Correct. So it's like, you know, the golden goose. There's like a mashal about this. A guy has golden goose every single, not a golden goose, but he goes to his thing and then it lays a golden egg. And he sells it and it's fully gold. And he makes tons of money from it. The next day it lays another golden egg. The next day it lays another golden egg. The next day it lays another golden egg. Then one time he says like, look, if this is laying a golden egg every day, that must mean that there's like a backlog. There must be a golden egg inside of the golden goose. So I want to get that egg that's on the inside today. So what does he do? He kills the goose, opens it up, finds the golden egg. He's so happy. What happens? No more gold, and there's no more eggs. So like you killed the goose that was giving you the golden eggs. So that's what's happening with this hearts of palm. Yeah, there is something on the inside, but you got to kill it in order to get it. And that's what happens with the hearts of palm. And that's why they would never do this. But now we have a different industry. Now we have a world where you have just like forests of just planting this, and they sell the hearts of palm. Okay, what about nowadays? Let me tell you a little bit about nowadays. Shulchan Aruch says what? What do you think Shulchan Aruch says? Hadama, why? Hold on. Okay, Shulchan Aruch is not a mystery. He's going to follow the law of the Gemara. The Gemara says Sha'akol, because when Shmuel starts to bend, the Gemara says no, don't bend. It's like you. Halacha is going to be Sha'akol, like you. Shulchan Aruch says it's Sha'akol. Okay. Now, nowadays, though, we're not eating the like center of a date tree. They don't grow dates on these. It's just trees for hearts of palm. So a lot of the poskim, they say the halacha has changed. In this situation, when you plant the tree in order to eat this, the beracha becomes ber pri ha'adama. You don't say ber pri ha'etz because it's still not a fruit that's coming out of the tree. It's still the bark of the tree. But you say bar pri adama. What does Rav Ben Chaim say on this one? Rav Ben Chaim says on this one, since Shulchan Aruch says Sha'akol and the Gemara says Sha'akol, I still say Sha'akol. Is what Moshe is saying that Rav Ben Chaim does, is that he still follows the din of the Talmud. But he says if you want, you could say Adama. I will tell you one thing is when you learn Halachot Berachot with Rav Ben Chaim, you will find that he's not so bothered by someone saying, I want to say Adama, so say Adama. Like you want to say Shakol, so say Shakol. Within reason. Here you have a machloket. You have two different opinions. You have Shulchan Aruch saying Shakol. Nowadays, all of the poskim are saying Hadama. Okay, you want to say Hadama because the poskim are saying Hadama. Say Hadama. You want to say Shakol because the Gemara says Shakol and Shulchan Aruch says Shakol. That's what I'm going to do. Says Rabbi. I'm going to say Shakol also. I know what happened at the mesa this year. I put together a list of like 50 food items to have our own version of a bracha, and I put hearts of palm on there. And I don't know what happened. I think I first wrote ha'etz, and some kid told me I was wrong, and I was like, "You're right." I did some research. Gemara says shakol, so I said shakol. Then someone else said I was wrong. I'm like, "Wait, hold on." I got so confused. And then someone else says it's actually ha'etz. I'm like, "You, I know you're wrong. You, I know. Don't give me that." But even that, I looked at there. There's some opinions that say you could say ha'etz also. There are some opinions that say you could say ha'etz because now it's become the fruit of the tree. It's like it's the fruit of the tree. But it's really not. So what do I do? I think my rabbi says shakol because Shulchan Aruch says shakol because the Gemara says shakol, so I say shakol. But if you ask most of the Sephardic world, like Rav Yosef, in Halacha Berurah, he says say hadama. So in the Sephardic world, they say hadama. Which one can you do? You can do honestly, you can do whichever one you want, but you should just know. If you're saying shakol, you're following the Dina Talmud. That's what Rabbi Ben Chaim says. If you're saying hadama, you're following the logic of what the Gemara says. The Gemara says no one plants it for the hearts of palm, and nowadays you do. So you could say hadama on it. Good. We're not done with the topic. We still have to talk about caper berries, and then I don't know if we're going to be able to finish this, but we're going to do it right now. Caper berries. Has anyone ever eaten a caper berry? Let me show you what it looks like. Share screen. Yeah, I have it. Come back to here, share screen. Okay, check it out. Here we have a plant. the Gemara loves unique cases. What's so unique about this plant right here is that it has 4 edible parts to it. 4 edible parts to it. Okay, here's what happens. You have this plant, it's beautiful. It has all of these like pink things and green things and white things and yellow things. If you see right here in the middle, this thing right here, that's a caper. C-A-P-E-R. It's called slaf. These things right here, when they're fully grown, they become like this on the top left. See that? You see how that turns into that? You see what I'm seeing? These are called caper berries. That's one thing. Then this caper berry has like shells to it or husks to it. And then there are outside of the center flower, there are leaves. And on these leaves, there are these things, which are edible. These things turn into edible things as well. They're called capers. I think something is down there, something is up there. Let me see if this picture is better. Yeah. So these things in the middle, this is like what a jar. If you go to the supermarket, you go to, I don't know, H Mart or something. Maybe for next week, look at that. There's a Chaf K on it. Next week, if someone can buy some capers, let's try it. I've never tried it. We'll know what Beracha to say, but I've never had it before. So this is the caper that we're talking about. This plant has 4 edible items. We're going to talk about it now, okay? I don't know if we're going to finish it, but we're going to get started. Here we go. Stop share. Screen share. I'm sorry for all of the back and forth share, but I wanted to show you that picture. There we go. So now the Gemara wants to say your hearts of palm, the last thing that we said is that it's shakol. Why? Because no one plants the palm tree with the intent of eating it. So now we're going to say, if you don't have intent of eating it, now the bracha is not going to be, the bracha is going to be shakol. So if you did not plant this item in order to eat it, this edible piece, you can't say ha'adama on it. It has to be shakol. V'haretz laf. When we talk about this caper bush, which is the thing I showed you the picture of, dinate inche adata defircha. When people plant it, they're planting it for the sake of the caper berry. It's that berry that people are going to eat. Utnan, but what do we learn in the Mishnah? The Mishnah says, Al minen itzpa. There are 4 parts of the caper produce. Each one's going to have, or they're going to have different brachot. Al he'alin, v'al temarot, on the leaves and on the little date-like outgrowth berries. There's like these little berries on the outside. On those, Omer beri pri adama. You say adama. V'ala evionot ala kafrisin. But on the actual caper berries and on the husks that's covering them, they have like a shell. Where Omer beri pri ha'etz. You say beri pri ha'etz. So now what happens is like, okay, we have this caper berry, we have this caper bush, it has 4 items, you're planting it for the evionot, but you're also saying ha'etz on the kafrisin, on the husk, and on the tamarot and the alin, you're going to say hadama, okay? Amar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, slaf nate inshe adata deshuta, dikla lo nate inshe adata dekora. The Gemara is saying, here's our issue. Our issue is there's 2 things in the middle, primary items, that you're saying is a ha'adama. Sorry, that you're saying is ha'etz. On the, if you're not in the kafrisin, which is the fruit, you're going to say ha'etz. What do you say on the other stuff, the tamarim and the alin? You say borei pri ha'adama. But do you remember what the Gemara said? That if you're not planting it for this purpose, you don't say a bracha, you say shakol on it. That's the thing with hearts of palm. What's the bracha on hearts of palm? According to Shmuel, it's shakol. Why? Because you're not planting it for that purpose. So now I have a plant, and you're telling me, oh, these are ha'etz, those are adama. Well, why are these adama? Because they're not the main fruit? If they're not the main fruit, then you should be saying shakol on it. So the Gemara answers, no, there's a very big difference. When it comes to the caper bush, they're planting it to eat all 4 things. You want to eat all of it. It's just these are the main fruit, so you say ha'etz, and these are the secondary, so you say ha'adama. Whereas when it comes to dikla, a palm tree, they don't plant it with the intention of eating the hearts of palm. Why not? Because if you do, you're going to kill it. If you pluck these berries that are on the side of the caper bush, you don't kill the bush. If you pluck off those leaves in the end, you don't kill it. So those could still be ha'adama. And the actual fruit on the inside, okay, that's ha'etz, because that's the actual fruit. But you're not killing it. Whereas when it comes to the parts of palm, no one does this. Therefore, you don't say the bracha. V'afagav, last line, v'afagav the kaseh Shmuel Rav Yehuda, even though Shmuel praised his student Rav Yehuda and said, Shinana, you're so sharp, hilchata kavateh de Shmuel, the halacha is like Shmuel. The rabbi who praised his student and said the halacha is like you, still the halacha was like him. I want to just speak a little bit about caper berries for a second. So remember, we don't need to overcomplicate this, okay? No one even knows what this is. Well, nowadays, no one actually eats it, but it's a bush that has 4 items. What?
They do put it in recipes.
They put it in recipes?
Yeah.
You've eaten this also?
I have it in dessert. So,
And what? Oh, cream cheese. You eat them all the time. With what? With fish. Like you make like a salmon? You put it on top. Okay.
It's very salt.
Right. So you have to pickle it also. It also gets pickled. It goes into a brine. You don't eat it by itself.
Really salty.
What bracha do you say on it? You should say, okay, easy way out. Easy way out. Say, how much? Yeah, exactly. You're never actually eating it by itself. So let's just speak about it. Yeah, the truth is I haven't eaten it. I guess it's not in the Persian cuisine. It's not in the Persian cuisine. It seems like it's in the Ashkenazi cuisine a little bit. You said with bagels and lox, and you said so that okay. So it's very important. Why? It's again because you're going to learn a principle. Let me just explain. You have the bush. There's a main fruit with its husk. The main fruit and the husk is ha'etz because that's the main fruit. There's these side berries. Those are adama. And there's leaves that are edible. Those are adama. Okay? Those things that you're talking about, that your mother-in-law makes or that you put on your lox, which one of these 4 is it? Is it the caper berry in the middle, the husk, the side outgrowth buds, or the leaves? You got it.
Inside
No. It sounds like nowadays nobody eats the evyonot and the kafrisin. Once again, the halacha is completely flipped. No one eats the inside. No one eats the kafrisin and the evyonot. Everyone eats the tamarim, which is what you're talking about when we're talking about caper berries. The ones in the middle is what they call the capers. The one on the side is the caper berries. This is what we eat. The Gemara says it's hadama. Why? Because no one, it's not the main fruit. But nowadays it's become the main fruit. And because of this, once again, halacha will say it's going to be ha'etz. If you eat it raw, no one eats it raw. So if you eat it raw, it's hadama. But if you pickle it in a way in which that it's edible, you say ha'etz. Very complicated because you have the exact. We had this multiple times where the exact law of the Talmud is getting completely flipped on its head. Let me just end off with some notes. Actually, I don't know if I'm supposed to share this, right? Moshe sent me some notes. So I'm not going to share it on the screen, but let me just read it to you. Okay, I'll read it out. We talk about capers. This is a berry, the Tur, Shulchan Aruch. Lemaaseh, the Beracha on caper berries, the ones pickled after they have fully grown. The evyonot is ha'etz, and the Beracha on the caper buds, the small round knobs which are pickled before they blossom and are sold pickled, is ha'adama. That might be the opposite of what I just said. Footnote number 45. Today, the majority of caper bushes are planted for the caper buds alone, not for the berries. Accordingly, one might argue that caper buds too should warrant the bracha of ha'etz, like the berries. As we said earlier, in the case of vegetables planted for the seeds, and the seeds do not lose their original bracha. But the maaseh, it seems that capers are different than seeds. The seeds are part of the actual vegetable, okay, etc. So I take it back. However, today they are certainly planted to be eaten, and the bracha on the capers is hadama. Fine. All right. Look, there's so I take it back. We're gonna go back to what's said in the Gemara. I'm gonna pull a Shmuel on you guys. I say, no. The Shmuel's original opinion. This caper bush nowadays, many people are you're only eating those small berries. So I saw that some say no. Now that takes the status of ha'etz. But I see here in his notes that, you know what, it's not so simple. That keeps its law of hadama. And just knowing how Rav Ben Chaim holds about these Gemarot, when the Gemara says something and Shulchan Aruch says something, that's enough to say I'm going to follow the din of the Talmud. If the later opinions want to change it, you might have a reason to change it, but you also can follow just the din of the Talmud. So we're going to end off with that. What do I owe you guys? You have a question for me? You want to know about orange juice and beer. You want to know about sprouts. Okay. So if you could just send it in the chat, we'll try to do some research. If it's coming up in the Gemara, we'll wait. If not, we'll try to get you some answers now. Okay. You're scared to bring up beer? No, you can bring it up. Yeah, I'm a little bit traumatized, but I gotta face my fears. Okay, Hazak Baruch. Have a good night, everyone.
Hazak Baruch. Hazak Baruch.
Thank you, Rabbi.
It's like shredded coconut, I would say it's
No, coconut is just it's a fruit. The shredded coconut is ha'etz. What do you do?
water.
What do you do with the coconut water? You drink it. I don't know. If you want to straight up drink out of a coconut, you say shakol. You say shakol. You say shakol. Right.
I don't think that's because it's I don't think that's because it's like a secondary part of it. It's to drink.
It's a drink.
So you have to eat them.
Yeah, it's gonna be ha'etz. The meat of the coconut is definitely. Like Nana?
If you're not who want the meat is supposed to eat my today.
What do you do? What do you do? Okay.
Put it on stuff with it, garnish. A lot of vegetables that we have offshoots that we use for other things. So I guess that it's the same like concept as a caper. Like,
So with the caper, yeah.
there's like a main vegetable, like there's leaves growing on the side of it that we may use it as something else to garnish or whatever. That's not the main thing.
So-
Vice
so-
versa with the-
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, if the whole thing is hadama, if it's a vegetable, then it's all hadama. What's unique about the caper is that the center is ha'etz and the offshoots are hadama. That's like what makes it so unique. And the Gemara is comparing that to hearts of palm and saying, hold on a second. If you never planted it for those offshoots, so why don't you say shakol the way that you do by the hearts of palm? The Gemara says, no, you do want them. It's just that it's not the main thing. Whereas hearts of palm, like no one eats it. And like that's why things are different. But that's very cool. Look, I'm learning a lot. I'm really learning a lot. Oh, the Zoom is still going? Okay, have a good night, everyone.